There's a fierce debate surrounding Britney at the moment. This debate is not something I necessarily want to directly talk about in this video. However, I would like to speculate on some of the moving parts surrounding Britney currently, because I think it's very revealing not only of Britney, but also of those with an interest in her. I cannot start this analysis without first analysing myself and acknowledging my own interest in Britney Spears' current whirlwind of speculation. I am a psychology student interested in development and trauma, basically how trauma affects us at different stages of our lives. I'm also someone with an interest in human rights and social justice. So when I found out about Britney's conservatorship, I was appalled and shocked, and I became incredibly emotionally invested. When she was freed from the conservatorship, my investment didn't stop. A whole army of people came forward to support, defend, and protect Britney from people we saw as her abusers whilst the conservatorship was in effect. I know my interest in Britney hasn't waned since then, and from her comment section on Instagram as well as other social media sites, it's clear that others feel the same way as I do. I feel that the people with an interest in Britney can be divided into a few main groups. There are people that see Britney as tabloid fodder and see Britney's life as a source of entertainment without much concern for her welfare. I'm going to keep these specific people in a separate group apart from the others. Then there is the next group who were advocating for Britney's freedom and the end of her conservatorship. These may or may not have been fans prior to knowing about the details of Britney's conservatorship, but they supported the Free Britney movement with the belief that the conservatorship was in violation of Britney's rights. And this is where this group splinters into two main theories or bodies of thought, which is the current source of conflict in regards to the Free Britney movement. The first being that Britney is not free, and that's the reason her behaviour looks the way it does. And the second is that she is free, and her behaviour change can be allocated to some other reason, most commonly to a mental health issue. I'm going to be completely honest here and state that I do belong to the second group. Now, amidst all of this speculation, something occurred to me. In order to free Britney, we had to adopt a sort of paternalism, a belief that even though Britney was saying she was okay, she wasn't. A belief that even though Britney was saying she was fine, we knew better, and that in freeing Britney from the conservatorship, we were acting in her best interest. It was necessary at the time to believe that there was some other reason she was saying what she was saying. We had to learn to reattribute her behaviour to a different cause from the one she was presenting, to disregard some of what Britney was saying and believe that our beliefs or desires for her to be free were superior to what she was communicating. And ultimately, the Free Britney movement was proven right.
And the Free Britney movement, you guys rock. Because of you, I honestly think you guys saved my life in a way, 100%.
That paternalism ended up being instrumental in ending Britney Spears' conservatorship. Paternalism is a word with a wide set of implications, but in this video I use it very narrowly to refer to the assessment that those of us supporting the Free Britney movement made, that our beliefs are right and correct in terms of what we think is happening with Britney Spears, in spite of what Britney herself communicated. And I'm not blaming us for this. I'm not saying that at the time this wasn't the appropriate or right thing to do in the circumstances. What I am saying is that alongside other variables, it puts us in a position of potentially speaking over what could actually or potentially be Britney's own sentiments and beliefs. I want to interject here with a short analysis of Britney's Instagram content so I can better illustrate my point. Bear in mind that this evaluation is made under the assumption that Britney is the one in control of her Instagram. Something that stands out to me most about Britney's Instagram is there seems to be a defensiveness in a lot of what Britney posts. Often she'll be flipping the camera off, an expression of anger, defiance, and contempt. it could be reasonable to interpret that we, whoever it is that is viewing the image or video, are the ones she's directing this gesture towards. We are the ones she's showing contempt for. Alternatively, she also posts overtly sexual content, usually provoking a reaction of disapproval from those that see it. At other times, she'll post cryptic messages that, even though we may not fully understand, seem to have an undertone of hostility and, again, contempt. Whether they are directed at us as an audience generally, or they are aimed at someone specifically, only she knows. Now, this isn't all the time. Britney will also post videos in which she expresses a part of herself that I find very intimate and vulnerable. However, overall, it cannot be denied that there is a sense of contempt in a lot of her Instagram content. If we take this at face value, we can interpret that there is a desire for Britney to defend and protect herself, but also to create a distance between her audience, the people viewing her content, and herself, or at least a communication of this desire for distance. After all, that is what defensiveness does as a mechanism. When a dog barks aggressively, it's a warning to stay away. And if we are smart, we stay away. Now, Britney has many reasons to feel contemptuous, and there is an argument that could be made in which she is not directing her ire at everyone, that there are specific people in which she is directing her contempt. The reason I don't think this is true is that she has come out against quite a few people that, in my opinion, have benevolent intentions towards her. Two of these people being Tish Yates and Felicia Culotta, two individuals that took part in a documentary that was instrumental in the Free Britney movement and whistleblowing some serious criminal offences that were taking part in Britney's conservatorship. She has also spoken against a person that saw that she was upset while she was at a drive-thru. She expressed anger towards him after he told her that everything was going to be okay. I feel as though maybe she felt that this comment was an infringement on her privacy. It seems that this contempt she has is not just towards people who have malicious intent, but towards anyone she feels as infringing on her privacy and getting too close. It makes me think that many people, whether they have benevolent intentions towards her or not, could also be at the receiving end of her ire too. However, there is another side of Britney that I have also observed. This side of Britney is the side that has a lot to say. Britney is a woman that has been silenced for such a long time, and now she's finally able to speak. And it feels like she will use whichever avenue she feels she needs to feel heard. Social media has given her that platform. So even within Britney herself, there seems to be a push and pull dynamic. There's a Britney that wants privacy. Then there's a Britney that wants to reveal herself. There's a Britney that wants to be left alone. And then there's a Britney that wants to be heard. There's a Britney that wants people to be silent about aspects of her past that have embarrassed her. And then there's a Britney that wants to expose the injustices committed against her. So now we find ourselves in a position where court documents say that Britney is free, and yet Britney's behavior doesn't look anything like the Britney we knew before the conservatorship. And we don't know how, where, or what to attribute these changes to. Again, some of us feel like Britney is free and some of us don't. There are two things that I would like to point out here. First, I want to comment on ultimately the impotence of this speculation. And secondly, I want to acknowledge the joint goals I see from both sides of this debate. So first, we have to concede that we cannot know what is really going on with Britney Spears. The only person who does really know is Britney herself. We can't accurately attribute her behavior to anything. We can only do guesswork. And for us to know what is really happening here, she would have to want to disclose that information to us, and she would also have to be able to disclose that information to us. And even in this, there are so many potential obstacles to this eventuality. Since Britney was a young adult, she has been telling us that she wants privacy, that she wants to be left alone. That is a motivator in itself for her to, even if she is currently free and has all her rights, not speak about personal issues she may be facing.
You have to realize that we're people and that we just need privacy and we need our respect. Those are things that you have to have as a human.
Additionally, even if she were to tell us what's really going on, her fan base would have to believe it. And due to the conservatorship often controlling the things that Britney says, there is yet another reason to not take her words at face value. Our interest in Britney's welfare, coupled with Britney's motivations to show contempt but also feel heard, means that we have all found ourselves locked in a type of cycle where our behaviors are contributing to a fever-pitch tornado of speculation and infighting. Comment sections are often filled with shock, concern, and conspiracy, as well as ableism and misogyny. In spite of the sometimes heated speculation, I feel it's safe to say that the majority of us who advocate for Britney's freedom aim to act primarily in support of Britney's best interest. The fact is that we may never know the truth about Britney Spears. And here is where there is a moral dilemma. No one should ever feel like a level of exposed in the way that Britney surely must feel. Like they don't have privacy over their own minds, over their own experiences, that every detail about their lives can be scrutinized and criticized under a magnifying glass. If I were Britney, I would mourn the lack of privacy that I've never really been able to have. And unfortunately, it seems like Britney will never be able to attain the privacy that she desires. So many people desire access to her, some because they find her life amusing, some because they like to observe and speculate. But there are also a lot of people that have a genuine concern about Britney's welfare. I can't help but think that if this really is Britney posting on her Instagram and she has autonomy over her own personal life, how damaging it must be for her to not be allowed to be awarded the autonomy and privacy she desires. As someone somewhat familiar with different stages of trauma, I can almost certainly guarantee that a lack of privacy at this critical stage and the level of scrutiny she's under right now is incredibly damaging to her mental health, of which, due to her recent history, most definitely puts her in a high-risk category. So here's where I feel like I need to address my own paternalism and my own interest in Britney Spears. I have my own beliefs, not just in response to other people with an interest in Britney, but in regards to Britney herself. In some respects, I do believe that I know better, that even though Britney would want me to stop speculating about her, I feel like it's in her best interest to try to understand her more, which consequently throws her under even more scrutiny. From my perspective, a lot of her behavior can be attributed to trauma, and that if we understand trauma more, then we would understand Britney more. But let's call a spade a spade. This is going directly against Britney's wishes. Britney has communicated that she wants to be left alone and wants privacy. She would not give me consent to do this video series. In my opinion, I'm defending her identity as a traumatized woman and raising wider social awareness about trauma. But from her perspective, she would probably determine my efforts as merely focusing on the negative, using her trauma, like so many others have before me, like it's an experiment in a petri dish, ultimately for my own personal gain. Am I completely sure that this is the right thing to do? For me, in regards to her personally, no. I think she needs privacy more than anything. My voice, I think, will only add fuel to the fire, even with whatever small amount of fuel that might potentially be. I think the more speculation surrounding Britney can only mean a worsening of any post-trauma symptomology and a delay in any progress in her recovery that she may be making. For the wider speculation surrounding her, there is so much ableism and misogyny in her comment section, I feel an obligation to speak out. In many ways, this could be interpreted as the lesser of two evils, however. in terms of the wider society, I do think I am doing the right thing. I feel like there is a lack of understanding about trauma and mental health, and I think that as a society, we need to start treating trauma survivors better. I look at others in support of the Free Britney movement that feel that Britney is not free, and I can understand how they may also feel like they are doing the right thing too. From their perspective, Britney is still trapped in a coercive situation, and her Instagram posts are a testament to that. And how can I argue with that? What if they are right? What if she isn't free? What if? However, I also see that the demands we have of her, that she goes live on Instagram, that she tells us what is happening with her, and discloses to us indisputable evidence that she is okay, that she provides to us, mere strangers on the internet, evidence of her personal situation, is also just another extension of violations of her autonomy. The cycle continues, no matter which direction we look at it from. And honestly, I have no way to reconcile all these conflicting pieces. Ultimately, I don't condemn any position those concerned for Britney may take. What makes me sad is that no matter what, our positions seem to come at the expense of what Britney says that she wants. So I'm going to end this video with a few questions that play on my mind all the time, and I want to hear what you think. In regards to the conversation about Britney, what do you think the right thing to do is? Are you sure it's the right thing? What if you're wrong? What is the potential cost if you are? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, follow the channel on social media, and I'll see you next time for more on the science of people.